We are. All right, so it says we are live, but I'm not seeing it on my YouTube's. My YouTube says it's waiting for me, so I have no idea. Oh, wait, there it goes. Oh, there's always a delay on YouTube. But I'm not seeing it on my YouTube. Okay, had to turn that off. So, hi, little bit new to the whole StreamYard. Haven't used it in a long time. So, oh, yay, we have 6 viewers. So welcome. My name is Lisa Nowakowski, and
Hi, I'm Nicole Garcia.
And we are both tech TOSAs here in California in the King City Union School District. And today we're going to be talking about accessibility features. So feel free to comment, and we'll be keeping an eye on all of your comments. All right, so I'm going to go over here. And no, I'm not. I'm going to do this. You're just going to get a whole rundown of the things that I don't know how to do. Welcome. Oh, welcome. All right. Oh, and look at that. Ignore. Okay. Share screen. All right. There we go. Okay, so here we are. So accessibility for all learners. And you'll notice that along the bottom here, we do have the closed captioning turned on for Google Slides. Come on. There we go. Nicole, you want to go ahead and talk a little bit about yourself and introduce yourself?
So again, I'm Nicole Garcia. I am a tech TOSA in the district, King City Union School District, with Lisa. This will be our second year going in as tech TOSAs, and I've been teaching for, oh my goodness, this will be my 19th year of teaching, and I'm really excited to be here and presenting with Lisa.
Hi, and my name is Lisa Nowakowski. I, along with Nicole, am a tech TOSA. We already said you can reach me at Noah Techie on the Twitters. And my dad he's like, the Twitters? He's very confused when I make fun of things, and then he's convinced that I'm making fun of him making fun of things. So it's a very weird relationship. Anyhow, I digress. You can also find some of my things at noahtechie.com. And I keep saying I'm going to get better at writing on my blog, and I don't. I'm also on, you can find more information at mathreps.com, and there is my book, Edu Protocols, the Math Edition. And there's Nicole's Twitter feed as well. All right. So let's go ahead and get started. So you can see that we have, the closed captioning going, and we also try to put in some of those visual representation, so an agenda, things like that. So this is our agenda for today. We're going to go over the why it's important. Some of us, it seems, obvious, and others it's like, oh, I didn't think of that viewpoint. We're going to look at the what. So, what does accessibility mean, and equity? The different domains that we've come up with. I kind of stole that from Kristen Oropesa. She does a much better job. She's amazing. So stole a lot of the stuff from her and Eric Kurtz. So got a lot of resources of theirs as well. And we'll give you all of those resources as well. If you would like access to this presentation, it's bit.ly/KCUSD accessibility. And you can also view this on YouTube. All right, so why do you think accessibility is important? So we're going to invite you to, give us some of your ideas of why you feel accessibility is important. You can tell us somebody from Vancouver. We are international. Okay, there are no handouts, but there is. I'm all excited. Like, hi, we are international. I'm going to go ahead and post the bit.ly. So if you want to go ahead and write in the comments, like why you think it's important, accessibility, we would love to hear that, and we'll kind of chat about that. bit.ly/KCUSD accessibility. All right, so there we go. So I just put it in the chat. And I'll go ahead and show that. So it's kcusd.ly accessibility. So Nicole, what are some reasons that I know you've used accessibility in your classroom as well when you were in the classroom? What were some reasons that you felt it was important for your students to have accessibility and the different accessibilities?
You know, a lot of our students, we can't just think it's just one way for them to be able to access things. And so you want to be able to reach all of your students, whether they have learning disabilities or not. But one of the reasons that popped into my mind was making sure that all the content was accessible to my special education students. So going in, using our Chromebooks, being able to turn on the different features that they have so things can be read aloud to them if they needed that support, or the text to speech feature where it allows them to just speak into the microphone and then it writes up everything for them. So those were some of those things to make sure that those students are all having the same access to the content and being able to participate in it.
That's a great point. And I also want to just kind of jump in there and piggyback off of that and, just point out, like, in our district, we have a large amount of English language learners. Of those accessibility features for them, such as the closed caption or the text to speech, they just find it a little bit easier to do. As we all know, writing is one of the last areas that they become proficient in. And so it's easier for them to speak, and instead of trying to write it all out and getting hung up on that. So I've had students who, I had one student, bless her little heart, I think she's in 8th grade this upcoming year, or no, she's going to be in 9th grade. She would turn on the voice to speech in both slides and in docs and just let me talk as I was talking and giving directions, and she would record the whole thing. So she knew exactly what was going on, and there might be some answers in there. So she had it all dialed in. She was also a special education student as well. So Sue says challenging to achieve in Google and tools. Exactly. Docs. Thank you. Don't we just love when we do those things? And I send it off all the time, and I never, like, I'll do texts and things like that, and I just don't even bother to check anything. And there you are, right? You have those great things, and you're like, did not mean to write that. So because we're all adults here, and you can read, I'm going to be quiet, which is unnatural for me, just to kind of read this particular statistic on special education services. And so that statistic, Nicole and I were talking the other day, that statistic is interesting because that really is just those students who are identified and receiving services. So this doesn't include students that maybe aren't yet identified, who haven't had meetings yet, or who won't qualify, who haven't qualified. This also does not include all of our ELL students who also benefit from specific targeted accessibilities. Anything I'm missing, Nicole?
No, that's pretty much it. Is, looking at that number there, it's a large number, but yet that still doesn't include a number, like you were saying, a majority of our students that would still need this support, even if they may not be, identified as special ed. But again, going back to our ELLs, how important of this is for them as well. So it's not just features for our SPED students that sometimes gets misidentified.
Right. And on a personal note, I personally have a learning disability with reading and reading comprehension. So when I'm reading things, I find it really difficult. But when it's read to me, I have a much higher comprehension. So I was never identified as a kid, but definitely some of these accessibilities would have most definitely benefited me. So what is accessibility? And I absolutely love this. I'm sure we've all seen this, this image. I mean, I use it in Facebook conversations, I'll say. Like, what is equality and equity and accessibility? So, I don't really need to explain all that is, but accessibility is breaking down those barriers so that every kid has an equal opportunity and can achieve success. So we just kind of want to break down those barriers. All right, so the domain. So again, we have our little visual cues. So we have, text to speech, speech to text, visual and auditory ones. So we're just going to go ahead and dive right on in. So the first one we're going to talk about is text to speech. We've only listed a few. There are several more that are out there that people like. Feel free to like drop a line and say, oh no, these are the ones that we like as well. I see we have a question. Do we have a strategy for those kiddos with speech issues in which speech to text doesn't work? Yeah, I actually don't have a really good one for that one because a couple years ago, I did have a student who had exactly that issue. He spoke so quickly that like this closed captioning thing would not be able to pick up what he was when he was speaking. So I don't have a great workaround for that. I love that you've tried the video and the spoken answer. Understood. I don't know, maybe something giving them an option of maybe, sorry, I know my internet goes in and out on this thing and it only does it on this. So as it, maybe Flipgrid? I don't know. Would something like Flipgrid work? Nicole, do you have any ideas on that?
Well, I know I have had students with that same issue, and some of the things I was just working with the speech teachers and having them practice utilizing that tool as part of their speech when they go to their speech teacher. So they're practicing those same things. So it's not necessarily the content within the classroom at first, but they're practicing using those tools while they're receiving their speech services. So it gives them the idea of how to better utilize that. Because I know a lot of times the speech teachers do go over with the, formation of the mouth and things like that. So the video, I think, would also be continued as a good idea, like the Flipgrid, because then you can still hopefully try and make out what they are saying by the formation of their mouth. But yeah, I think those are just some of the ideas so far.
I think that's a great idea, especially starting off with something that's like a low cognitive load. That's something kind of, fun for them to deal with. So the first one that we use, and anything that has an asterisk by it, is the ones that we have found to work in our district for us. So this, just because it works for us doesn't mean it's going to work for you, or a different tool might work better for you. We're all here for that. So we use Read Aloud in our district, and I don't have it on this particular computer right now. And it literally, you highlight it and it reads it to the student. And we found that to be really successful. We also looked into Speak It, and a lot of people, doing research on this, a lot of people really like Read and Write. I didn't have personal success at it. I'm just going to say it was probably me.
I'm in the same boat. I Read and Write was not as successful with my students either. We use the Read Aloud majority of the time.
Yeah. But if Read and Write works for you, go for it. So there's also another comment here, going back to the strategies with students with speech issues. They've tried Flipgrid, but they couldn't understand when you were online. Oh yeah, and no access to speech teachers. Yeah. I'm sorry. That's about all I have.
Well, potentially, as then down below, Sue was saying, could potentially the student type, and then that could be also read back through if the student is able to type it out and then have that read aloud. A Read Aloud, yeah, because we will get to that. So right now we're at text to speech, but we will get to speech to text, and maybe that one will find some better answers for helping that student.
Yeah. And kind of going on if the kid can type it, a couple years ago, I'm thinking of one very particular student. He had speech issues and he couldn't type anything out either. So it was like a double whammy for this kiddo. And it was just really, really difficult for him. So I understand those things.
And for those that are really struggling, and if they are special education students, I do suggest reaching out to their case carriers in the SPED department and ask them as well as different types of modifications or accessibility features that they may be aware of that they would like to have utilized or might potentially already be listed in their IEPs for modifications.
So yes, Read Aloud. This Read Aloud is an app that it's a Chrome extension. So if you're using, so these are mostly Chrome extensions. I believe Read and Write does have it as well for like Microsoft as well. But we primarily use Google in our district, and we're a Google workspace. So most of these are Google focused. We do have resources at the end. Specifically, Eric Kurtz does have a list, and he does go through some of the other ones that are on here as well that would work for Microsoft. So thank you for that. All right. And now we have speech to text. Again, the first one, the asterisk one, talk and comment, is one that we use in our district. So this works on several different platforms for us. We have paper in our district, so the students can talk into the paper app and get the help that they need. Most things, we love it. We found success with it this year. Again, Read and Write, same app. Extension, excuse me. So that will also work for you. So if you're a district that already uses that, you've got it going on, right? And finally, you can turn on voice typing in Google Docs and in Slides. And what that will do is, specifically in Slides, it will only type it in the speaker notes. But again, I had a student who would she would talk into it with this and put it in the speaker notes and then copy and paste it to where she needed it to go in the slides if she was doing a hyperdoc or something like that. Nicole, do you have anything to add?
No, those sound good to me, Lisa.
And I know we had talked about like possibly demoing a few, but they're all straightforward and really easy to use. Again, we had more success with talk and comment. You might have more success with Read and Write. Whatever works for you.
One of the I do want to point out there, like she said, these are all Google extensions, and so they're free. I know Read and Write does have a paid version, but these things are all, what we're seeing here, do all have free versions. So you can click on these, go to the web store, add these extensions and test them out for yourself and see which ones you find more user-friendly for you and your students. And that's kind of what Lisa and I have done with our district, and the ones with asterisks are the ones we utilize because we felt they were the easiest for our students and our population to utilize.
And I'm putting this comment up because I don't actually know the answer to this because we're based in California. So, if anybody knows of a Canadian service where students can pick their voice, that would be helpful to Sue. She's looking for that information. You can throw it in the comment section. We would love to help each other out, right? Like we're all in this together. All right. And readability and comprehension. Now, I was a huge fan back in the day when they had TLDR, too long, didn't read. That's kind of my motto in life. Like, like I see a whole page of something and I'm like, oh no, I can't deal with it. There are a couple other different ones that are available as well. So Mercury Reader, what it does is takes an entire page, and they have the ads on it and all of those other things that go on it, and it strips all that down so that it's just the information that needs to be read, not all that other extra stuff. And speaking as a person who does have like that kind of comprehension disability, and I'm easily distracted with all of the ads and everything that's on the side, having that stripped away is such a huge, huge help. We don't recommend one specific one for our district. It hasn't come up, but Nicole and I are hoping that through more education that more and more teachers will start using some of these accessibility features for students just to kind of help them out. There's also dyslexia friendly, so it'll change the font to there's two choices that you can have on it. So it'll change the font on a page. So if they're reading, say, a Newsella article, it'll change the font so it's a little bit more dyslexia friendly for the students who do have that sort of disability. And then finally, there's Easy Reader, which also strips away the all of that stuff on the side and kind of makes it easier. I'm still missing TLDR, where it would kind of like do medium, easy, or like a harder version and summarize it for you. I loved those, but they don't have them anymore. All right. Anything else? Any questions? You guys are great. You guys are asking great questions. And yeah, you guys are amazing. This is the only one that we recommend in our district. Quite honestly, Moat, it does have a paid version to it. Everything we use in our district is the free version because we're public school, and so we love free things. So we have found Moat to be really helpful. Nicole, you want to talk a little bit more about Moat? I know you have a little bit more experience than I do with that.
Yeah, one of the things that I do like for Moat from the teacher's end is I'm able to utilize that to right away record my audio to put inside of slides instead of having to record it somewhere else and then upload it into Google Drive and then attach it to slides. It automatically allows my comments to be recorded so the students just can play them back. You can utilize this in Google Classroom in the comment features when you're responding to students' work. It's pretty much what's great about Moat is once you've added that extension, anywhere where it's accessible for you to use, it'll show up. It'll be one of the options. You'll see the little Moat symbol and you're like, oh, I can utilize it here. And so it's definitely a great tool for the recording of feedback as well.
Yes, and Constance loves Moat as well. All right, so we have another, let's see. So, okay. So there's just little conversations going back and forth. Yeah, sometimes you have those really complex cases where things, like no matter how many accessibility features we find, like it doesn't work for certain kids. And then you get those really complex ones like the one I'm thinking of that I had a few years ago where you could throw it all at them, but then there's another issue that, you know, whether it's the speech or a language issue or something. My dog says hello. That would be Panda. Yes, he's letting me know. It just doesn't work. It doesn't happen often, but it can be really frustrating for the teacher and the student because you're just trying to find something that works for the kid, and just it can be frustrating. And then with the pandemic and us getting shut down, I think that can be even more frustrating. So we are at resources, and I love this next slide. Nicole made it because she's all fancy schmancy like that. So these are all resources that we recommend that you kind of go for. So Google Chrome, you can search through just accessibility features. You can kind of go and see what accessibility extensions that they have. You can also, if your students are using Chromebooks, there are accessibility features that the students can turn on, such as a large mouse. So they'll see like the cursor being ginormous. My students do that, and then it drives me banana pants because I can never click on anything properly because it's so big. And then we do have resources. So if you are Windows-based, we do have some resources for you to look at for like the Windows 10 accessibility options that they also have. And this is like huge, ginormous shout out to Kristen Oropesa and Eric Kurtz, who have an amazing amount of information and knowledge behind accessibility features. Again, this was nowhere near an exhaustive list of everything that's out there. This was literally just a quick overview of things to help get you started and kind of pointed in the right direction. Definitely highly recommend these last 3 resources, 2 of Kristen's, and the last one, which is Eric Kurtz, which is a living document that he is constantly adding to, and asks for you to add to it as well if you have other information. Yeah. And Nicole, anything else? I'll go back over here.
No, unless there's any other questions. But yeah, these are all some great resources. All of those are links, so you're able to, in that presentation that Lisa had shared, the bit.ly/KHUSD accessibility. You can click on that. They'll take you to the presentation that we had today with links to all of the resources we talked about, in addition to the page that was there. So you have access to all of those.
Yeah, so I just, thank you so much for joining us. I know it's a little bit later than the most of them, but we thank you for coming. And if you had any additional ideas, so I see like two people are connecting already to, try and help each other out. And that's what it's about. We're all here to help one another, and get my camera on, to help one another and be here for each other. So I want to thank everybody for joining us. And this was fun, you guys. It was great conversation. So thank you so much, everybody.